Hi! Or should I say bye? Today we are talking about sexuality, dating, and queerness. If any of those themes make you feel uncomfortable or unaccepting in any way, if you know what I mean, then by all means click off. For all of my besties remaining, let's get into today's topic. So I was watching an episode of 90 Day Fiancé. I really love that show, and because there's just so much drama, so much to unpack there. And there is this lovely bride-to-be. She's called Sophie, and Sophie has only recently accepted her bisexuality, I think for only a year, and she has now come out on the show as bisexual to her boyfriend called Rob and her mummy. Why that matters to me, I am bisexual myself, and even though I don't want to pretend like it's some kind of oh my god that's my people thing, it kind of is. And what sparked my interest to make this video is her boyfriend's reaction. Rob, or famously called Rob the Knob, he goes, "You're bi." And he immediately starts to question Sophie's love for him.
So do you really feel confident that you're gonna be happy with just me?
I'm kind of sick and tired of people reacting doubtful or hurtful or just stupid when a bisexual person comes out. So I'm here to the rescue. I'm gonna inform you about some interesting themes and then even present my own advice. Let's go, shall we? First of all, what is the bi stigma? Because bi stigma is the broad term that all of these negative reactions that I'm going to be talking about fall under. So according to the Cambridge Dictionary, a stigma is a strong feeling of disapproval that most people in a society have about something, especially when this is unfair. Note that it is often also described as a set of negative and often unfair beliefs, which I think also sums it up pretty nicely for people that are new to these terms. So when I talk about bisexual stigma, I thus mean the idea that many bisexual people to this day are still faced with things like unacceptance, exclusion, stereotyping, and very importantly, erasure. Bisexual erasure kind of earned its honorable mention here because the term basically covers everything from not believing to even falsifying evidence that bisexuality exists. So in history books, in media, everything like that. So that's kind of stupid. We can see this as rendering bisexual people and their experiences invisible within discussions of LGBTQ plus identities and more. That is according to a 2022 article about the harms of bisexual erasure. I will quickly cover two terms that falls under the bi stigma that I'm personally most familiar with, so I can give my own thoughts on them. Numero uno, denial. No, I'm not talking about your recent breakup. Being bi is not real. And I am a simulation. So I think most of us know that there is people who do not believe that homosexuality is a real thing, but there's also people who specifically believe that being attracted to both sexes does not exist. You're either straight or you're gay. There's nothing in between. A good example of this is when a person doesn't believe that you're bi because you are currently dating the opposite sex, and that is all that you have dated in the past. The way I have experienced denial, I won't give away all of the details, I'll just sum it up here. My ex-boyfriend, when I came out to him, actually when I came out for the first time, it was to him, he asked me, why now? Like, why did you make the decision to turn bi? Right? That's kind of what he insinuated there. Or my mom asking me how I am sure that it is not just a women are more attracted to women than men are to men kind of thing. This seems quite harmless, which in these cases they are. These people in particular, they don't mean bad, they don't mean it in this way. And I don't lay awake at night crying my eyes out. But little things like this, when they keep adding up, and especially when the questions keep coming, that can feel very unpleasant, and like these people are being doubtful of the feelings that you have just personally admitted to them. And let's get this straight, I think it's normal to be curious about these things. It's normal that you're like, well, there is no proof, so I mean, I could say the same thing. But you also need to realize that a heterosexual person probably does not have to prove that they are into the opposite sex. I know there are certain exceptions for that, but I just mean in general. And I feel like in general, bi people, in my experience, are questioned. So I think it is kind of strange to feel the need to ask these things, but I also think it is normal and understandable when bisexuality is perhaps something very foreign to you. I'll give you a personal example that I hopefully don't offend anyone with, but it's just to illustrate. If someone told me they are asexual, for example, and I know that they have dated in the past, my mind probably goes there, you know? I think that is just human curiosity and we cannot blame it per se, but we do need to realize and act on the fact that people do not owe us that personal information, especially when it's about things like schmecks. It's pretty much like celebrity gossip. We really want to know. Well, at least I do. I do love me some celebrity gossip, although I feel really bad for reading celebrity gossip because it's actually really bad. You need to draw that line, right? These are people you actually know that are next to you, that are talking to you, trusting you. Draw that line. What I personally think about the denial thing in the stigma, if all of your childhood crushes have basically been Kim Possible and Shiro, the daughter of Dr. Dovenschmerz and Cleo from H2O. Yes, that is why I'm called Cleo, honey. But also Ben 10, and both Camilla and Shawn Mendes in the Senorita YouTube music video. I think that it is safe to assume that these things, these feelings, this sexuality has been real to me for a very long time. You know, it's not fake. I'm not joking. The second aspect that I have, well, not actually experienced, but I have seen, especially in this 90 Day Fiancé situation, is the cheating aspect. Bi people do not know what monogamy is. They don't know what being loyal is. Like, they just don't know. They silly. There is a strong prejudice that bisexual people will always either cheat on their partner or will always secretly want to cheat on their partner to experience being with the same sex or the opposite sex. I don't know what situation they're in. And although it has been shown in research that, well, at least the research group of bisexual people, most of them, they have a strong feeling of confusion about their sexual orientation, their sexuality. And yes, I experienced that too. But it does not mean that we will just go and leave our partners when the time is right, or that we feel entitled to cheat on our partner just because we haven't experienced something in life. Like I said, even if we do wonder, and I think that's me generalizing, but I think most of us do wonder, and we can get sad about the idea that we will never be able to experience something that is inside of us. We can be honest about that, but I think that is normal, and I think that people who are not bisexual will have some of these issues as well that are just normal and that you have to face. There are definitely people who can live with that, and if you can't, then you can talk to your partner respectfully. A stereotype often comes from some form of truth, so it could be true that a lot of bisexual people are struggling with this and being loyal, but definitely don't generalize because there's respectful people out there. It is sad and not fair that we are seen as, by definition, promiscuous, unloyal. Don't know if that's the right word. Or another classic that I hear a lot about is that we just can't wait to have a threesome with another girl and an insecure man just for his sexual pleasure. Like, what? If you're a man and you have a bisexual girlfriend, there's probably always gonna be people like, oh, damn. There's a lot more about the stigmatization, but this is what I want to zoom in on today because that's what I know most about. Next, why is the bi stigma important? Flanders, Dobinson, and Logie conducted a focus group research in 2017 in which young bisexual women discussed the bi stigma in regard to bisexual erasure and other stereotypes. And sadly, the results showed that many of them feel pressured to provide evidence of their bisexual identity, as well as feeling excluded from the queer community, which I experienced as well. These are just some of the effects from this one particular study, but there's definitely a lot more results that show this kind of stuff, like serious stuff, even depression and everything like that. And as you can imagine, it's just not fun to not feel accepted. It's the same as something simple as not feeling accepted for what you wear, what kind of hobbies you practice, all that kind of stuff. It's just the same because it's part of you. And any of this type of bullying or ignoring, denigration, or even gaslighting can be very annoying and hurtful. I do realize that there are way worse things than the doubt that I have experienced, but I just want to highlight how repetitive, doubtful questions and stereotypes and assumptions can really affect bi people in a way that they would rather maybe not even tell you, even if you are a good friend or family member. Which is sad. Cleo's personal advice when it comes to a bi person coming out to you. First of all, This is a very big first of all, so I will not be waiting like this. Please realize that your loved one is choosing to share a very personal, sensitive, and probably even taboo, because it has to do with sexuality, piece of information with you about their personality and their sexuality. Even if coming out may not seem like a big deal to you, that being a positive thing or a negative thing, that is okay. But it probably does feel like a big thing to them. And that is exactly why your reaction could mean a lot to them in that moment, especially when they are already insecure or maybe a people pleaser. Secondly, even if you have curiosity or doubt about bisexuality, which is normal and understandable, it is probably a good idea to leave the whole questioning thing out. Don't start asking all of these questions right at the moment. Of course, this depends on the person, but I think from what I've read, this would be nicer for them coming out. I do encourage you to learn about it. You can do your own Google research, which I highly suggest. I think that's a great idea. Or just ask the one that's coming out some respectful questions later on. Decide for yourself or just ask the person coming out. Although I do feel like they would probably say they don't mind. They trust you in this moment. Don't accidentally make the mistake of betraying that trust by making them feel like they have something to defend or explain instead of having a part of them to accept or even celebrate. That was all for today. Basically, if I say I'm bi, that means I'm bi. Bye!